and welcome to another episode of the Tell Nut Show. As always, we are your hosts. We have the fabulous Kirsha Fox. She is the author of Son of Deception and The White Leaf Child. She's a homeschooling mom of four, avid reader, and gamer.
And my co host is Julia J.K. Allen, author, editor, and author coach. She's a fantasy and horror author who loves to put magic in everything. And our guest tonight is C.B. Noy. C.B. Noy was born and raised in Northern Maryland. She's an avid romance reader, extreme lover of coffee, and self proclaimed Amazon shopping addict. Becoming an author was never a blip on her radar until an idea came to mind one Saturday morning. And with the encouragement and support of some amazing friends and family, she found a new dream to explore. Welcome, CB.
Welcome, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So happy to have you. I also have a shopping addiction, so solidarity on that. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your writing journey? What got you started as a writer, and how's it look for you so far?
Well, my writing journey is kind of crazy. Like it says in my bio, I was just sitting on my couch and an idea popped in my head, and um, a couple of hours later, I had the prologue for my first book, and I sent that to my best friend, and she
Wow.
said, Where can I find this? Where's the rest of this book?" And when I didn't answer, she was like, "Wait a second, did you write this?" And I said, "Maybe. Depends. Do you like it or not?"
Right, right.
She said, "Keep writing." So I did. And that was little over 2 years ago.
uh,
Yeah,
thank goodness
I
for
love
supportive
that.
friends, right?
Yes, yes. Thank goodness. Because without them, I would not have seven published books.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yeah, and congratulations. That is quite an accomplishment. Seven
mm-hmm.
books. Yeah,
That
amazing.
Seven
is.
books. Yes.
Considering you started, what, you said 2.5 years ago?
It was February
Yeah,
of 2022 when I started writing.
yeah,
First
that's
book,
quite a feat.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah,
yeah.
that is amazing.
Yeah, I actually published the first book on my birthday. I was like, "Happy birthday to me."
Yes,
That's a good
yes, love
birthday.
that.
It was.
So tell
All
us a
right.
little bit about the genre you write and why you chose that genre.
I write small town romantic suspense. Small town because I grew up in a small town.
Yes.
Um, and romantic suspense because that's what I like to read. Now, I read everything, but um, it needs to have action in it.
Mhm.
So that's the idea for the town, that the make believe town, um, was from driving my son back and forth to college. He went to school in
Mhm.
a small mountain town in Western Maryland, and the drive was gorgeous, and I could just picture a little town kind of nestled in those mountains somewhere, and that was where Mountain Grove came from.
Yeah, I love that. I spent part of my childhood in Maryland, on the east side, I think.
Oh, what part?
My dad was yeah, so my dad was stationed at ATG at first, and then we just moved to Aberdeen. So
Yeah, actually,
yeah.
you are in. Yeah, you were right near me. Aberdeen is 20 minutes from me.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I loved it there. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's like the rose-colored glasses of childhood, but I loved my time in Maryland. It was yeah, very very special to me. But yeah,
I've only ever been here, so I don't know anything else.
I can relate though, because my hometown in Michigan, like where my hometown is here, I remember going to school, and my school had more people than my hometown did, and my hometown was like the biggest town in the area, but it's like it was still smaller than my college. So when I went to college, it was kind of like, oh, there's so many more people here. So I can relate with the small town experience. Yeah, yeah. But my roommate freshman year, I remember she came from a graduating class of I want to say 8 people, and I was very surprised by that.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I'm
that's
surprised
really
by that
small.
because there are some very rural areas here. But yeah, she was telling us about like, yeah, we got the first day of hunting off school and everything because like everyone would skip anyways. to go do the first day of hunting and stuff. So I was just like, yeah, my hometown is small, but not that small. So that was nice. But
I mean, we're small around here. I mean, my graduating
mhm.
class, people drove tractors to school. You know, it's all farmland
Right,
up here. Um,
right.
so I actually grew up on a farm, but I didn't drive a tractor to school.
Oh yeah, sounds like a missed opportunity there. Although I probably go crazy because
No,
tractors don't go
definitely
very
not.
fast. Yeah,
No, they
Just
right.
don't.
take a
Tractors
bike.
don't
Definitely
go.
Just
not.
take a bike at that point.
Yeah, you might as well
Yeah,
just walk.
Yeah.
right. Hmm.
All right. So I'm really interested to know about your writing process. So what's it look like? How do you get your drafts done so quickly?
I am a pantser, 100%. I do not um, write anything down. Although with my newest series, I am. Normally it's a
Hmm.
3 book series, but this series that I'm working on is going to be 5, potentially 6 books. So there's a lot more to remember. Other than that, I mean, I plot everything out in my head. I have the main twist. I know that before I even go in, and then it's just kind
Hmm.
of building to that point. So I do chapter by chapter. I start at the beginning and I work my way through to the end. Um, I know some people will, start in one place and then, oh, they've got an idea for an ending, so let me go write that out. I
Hmm.
can't work like that. I have to go from chapter to chapter. Typically, I will not go back too much to edit
Hmm.
after I've written it. I do send it to my to alpha readers, and they will make
Hmm.
their suggestions, and that's really the only time until the book is done that I'll edit it.
Hmm.
Yeah, editing
But
can kind
that's,
of
I
take over
mean,
the whole writing process. I feel like it's one
it
of those. Yeah.
it does, and I don't let it. But like that's why I pay an editor.
Right.
I just, and she's good. I don't know where the commas go. It sounds like it's supposed to have a comma in my head, so it gets one.
Hmm.
Right.
And sometimes
Thank
I'm
goodness
right,
for good
sometimes I'm
editors.
wrong.
Yes.
Hmm. Very good. I
They take
mean,
what we have and just make it shine a little bit better.
Mm.
Yeah.
they do.
Mhm.
They do. Thank goodness, because I am not an English major.
Hmm. So for you, what would you say is the most important part of writing?
I would say that, I mean, just coming up with that story, that it's going to be something that somebody wants to read. So, I mean, ugh, that's a hard one. Um, I swear I did look at like your questions,
It's
Mhm.
all right. It
but
is a hard
but
one.
it is a hard one. I mean, for me, it's about completing the book
Mhm.
and making sure that the plot is accurate, I guess you
Mhm.
could say, and that everything flows well. So to me, it's the flow of the book. And because it's romantic suspense, you kind of have to keep building and building and building in that
Right.
suspense so that people don't get bored. So
Mhm.
that's the biggest thing for me with writing is making sure people don't get bored because I get bored
Yeah.
very easy.
No, that's good when you write thrillers. It's a good metric to keep an eye on. I was curious. I know you said in the last question that you always know your plot twist when you sit down to write. How do you figure out your plot twist, though?
I have no idea. It just sometimes I have to talk it out. So
Right.
I call my best friend, and she's been with me from the beginning. She's one of my alpha readers.
Mhm.
She, is on. She has a blog, and so we actually met through her blog. But I sometimes I just have to talk it out. I
Mhm.
have the general idea, and sometimes it'll change. Sometimes it
Yeah.
changes a little bit as I'm writing, but in general, I know the roundabout plot twist and where I
Sure.
want to go.
Mhm.
It just
Yeah.
pops in my head. I have no idea where it comes from.
Yeah,
All right.
no, I love that. I think that having that sounding board friend is so valuable. That person that you can just bounce ideas off of, who can say, "But wait, what if you did something like this, or what if you looked at it this way?" That is like the most helpful.
It's
Mm-hmm.
I think.
huge. It is
Yes, it's huge.
huge.
Yes. Heck, sometimes even if they don't say anything, just talking it out to somebody else, you just
Yes.
answer your own
Yes,
questions as you go,
Yeah.
I
I
feel like
am
a lot of
also,
writers. Mhm.
oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like a lot of writers are verbal processors, right? We figure things out by putting it into words, and like our thoughts into words, and so that's so helpful. Like Kirsha was saying, even if they don't give you the suggestion you need, you can kind of figure it out just by talking about what the problem you're having is. Yeah.
Exactly. I also, when I drive,
Mm,
for
Mhm.
some crazy reason, ideas pop in my head when I drive. So,
yeah.
my
Yes.
best friend always says, maybe you should look at trying to be able to write off your car payment because you do a lot of your writing in your car when you're driving.
Mhm.
Right. Right. Do you just do that voice memos then, or you just keep it all in your head?
I I do sometimes voice memos, just depends where I am.
Right.
But
No, I
sometimes it's
admire
just a
you
matter
if
of
you can. Oh, I was
uh,
just gonna say, I admire if you can keep it track in your head because, like, for me, if I don't write it down immediately, it's just gone forever, forever,
I've
no
had
matter
to
how
pull
good of an
over.
idea. You're
Yeah,
right,
I've had to
right,
pull over a
yeah,
couple of times just to get the idea down, but if it's just a sentence or two, I can do it
mm-hmm.
with the voice memo.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I
No,
don't
that's
drive
very
too
nice.
far that much, so
Yes, yes. No, I think that doing something that is like passively active, like driving or doing the dishes or laundry, is very helpful because you're like your hands are busy, you're a little bit busy, but your brain can kind of just meander through ideas and things like that. And
and
so
it does.
yeah, I find it very helpful to do like those tasks that like keep your hands busy, but let your leave your mind to like kind of percolate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I also find that it's nice too, if you're having a trouble getting to a certain point, that's when I really start thinking about it. My brain kind of works overtime.
Right.
Surprised I haven't gotten speeding tickets or car accidents because, I'm thinking
Yeah.
about a book instead of the road, but, it really does help.
Yeah. Yes. 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 No, and there's something so like I don't know. I know there are people that hate driving because of the anxiety and the stress, but like for me, driving is always like it's really nice. I always like find like it very calming in a way.
It's peaceful, especially when you're driving by
Yeah,
yourself.
Mhm.
right. Unless there's too many people in front of you going under the speed limit, then I get road rage a little bit.
Yeah,
But
I,
otherwise,
I,
it's very peaceful. Yeah,
I definitely agree with that.
right, right. I'm just always like, why are we not going the speed limit though in the left
Mhm.
lane? But yeah.
All right. So
Um,
you start with plot. How do you get to know your characters?
Honestly, I just get to know them as I write them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I, I don't necessarily know what kind of a person they're going to be until I just start writing it. And that's what's taking me a little bit longer with the new series. It's a new cast of characters and everybody's different. There's more of them. There's
yeah,
going to be more books, and it's just trying to make sure that everybody is not blonde hair and blue eyes, and
right, right.
that's
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so I just have to. Sometimes I just have to think about it. What
Mm-hmm.
kind of a character I want them to be. With the series that I'm working on now, the 5 books, I have all 5 of them plotted.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I know the general direction in which they're going. And I
Right,
kind of had that idea before I started writing the first book. And it
right.
was actually only supposed to be a 3-book series until I introduced more characters. And then I said, well, okay, I guess we're going to
Yeah.
have 5 now.
Yes.
And then a beta reader said, well, what about this character? And I said, oh, well, okay, maybe we're going to have 6.
Right,
So,
right.
I just kind of they just kind of come to me, and I get to know them as I'm writing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's I find that stories do that a lot of times where they kind of we start with thinking like, oh, I'm just gonna write one book, and then it grows and grows and grows, and then you're like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness, I did not intend on this, but here's a bunch of books later.
Yes, I mean, I was
Totally.
actually only ever supposed to write one book. It was just supposed to be a one and
Yes,
done,
yes.
and that didn't happen. So
No, you got the
Mm-hmm.
writing bug. Yeah,
I
Yeah.
yeah.
do, I do, I love
And
it.
Yeah,
and
no, it
writing a
is.
series is a lot more complicated character wise than writing
Mm-hmm.
standalones, because
Yeah.
by book three, you're going back like, what did I say in book one? What was their
Hmm.
favorite
Right,
color?
right.
What was their background? What was that thing they said about their mom that one time? Like, if you don't keep pretty good notes,
Yeah,
you have to go backward through your book because it's,
Yes,
you
right,
want to make
right.
sure that you're not being inconsistent. So
yes,
now you
and
have
Yeah,
all of these character threads and the way that they type together and all of the, like, how
right.
they related to each other and what's their history together, and you have to remember that. And and then you get two in the room and like they start just riffing off each other and you're like, oh, this is
Yeah,
great, but like, oh gosh, like there's a lot more to keep track of.
there
there
is.
really is. Yeah, there definitely is. I actually I bought a character Bible for this series because I said
I was
I
just
can.
gonna say series or a series compendium or a series Bible is so helpful
Hmm.
to
Yes,
like
yeah.
put notes in. I like to use like a binder. I've never tried one of the like the books you can buy like you did, but I like a binder just because then I can like know it's organized so that I can find it easier. Because I used to
Yes.
just have notebooks with all my
Mm.
notes, but then it's like you have to read the entire notebook to figure out what color eyes they have, and it was very inefficient. And so I was just like, no, we're doing binders, and we're yeah.
Yeah, I tried to do that the first two series, and I did not
Yeah,
have any
yeah.
luck with that. And I said I have to be more disciplined with this one.
Right.
There's way too many characters to remember who
Yeah.
did what, where, and when, and with who. So
Yeah. So you got a character Bible.
I did. Yeah.
Have you found that helpful?
Hmm.
I find it annoying actually.
Right. Okay.
just
Yeah.
just because I'm not used to it. I'm not used to it. And
Right.
so
You're not used
it's
to having
just
to write everything down. Yeah.
no, it's just going to take a little bit of time. It is helpful.
Sure.
I have found
Yeah.
it to be helpful so far.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So it's much easier than having to skim back through the last book to find out, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Right. When you have to read a whole book for like a little detail that
Hmm.
drives me crazy.
Yes,
But cause, like just because by the time you're going back to an old book to read, find the details, you've already read that book like 100 times through editing and everything else. So it's like it just drives me a
Oh
little
yeah,
crazy. But
especially when you are one who likes to write twisty plots. Then you're like, wait, who
right,
knows what?
yes.
Who did they talk to? What did
yes,
they say? What was
Hmm.
misunderstood? What did they get from that? Like, you have to keep track of
yes,
those
yes.
details too. How did that interaction go? What did they remember from it?
Exactly. And
Hmm.
then you don't want to give too much away in their
Yes.
interaction either.
Right,
That's the thing. You introduce them, but you don't want people to
yeah.
guess who done it, before you actually have
No,
the big
no,
reveal.
yeah. Right, right. Yeah, but you have to also plant the clues needed to
Yes.
set up the big reveal and all of that too.
Hmm.
So it is not the easiest task, but I think that's why people love thrillers and mysteries and those like types of books so much though, because when it's done well, it's always just like, how did I not see that coming from a mile away? But it's like always amazing when you get that big reveal and you're just like, no, not him. But
Yeah. I still
uh,
have one of my alpha readers is very good at figuring out the plots.
mm-hmm.
So my biggest thing is if Jamie can't guess, then we're good.
Right, right,
So
right.
that's always, have you figured out who it is yet? And, either it's a yes or it's a no. And usually when it's a yes, she is wrong. So,
Oh, good, good.
yeah.
That's
Yes,
good.
that is
Yes.
amazing. This is one of my favorite questions to ask. Who's your favorite author, and what do you think they do really well?
My absolute favorite author actually is Bryn Asher. And she just, she's got a way with words. I mean, she really does.
Mm,
Her characters stay with you. I mean, I used to read 400 books a year. I mean, before I
right.
started this, 400 plus. And you finish one book, and 2 days later, you can't remember what the book you read, what the characters
Right.
were, anything that happened because you've already read two more books in the meantime.
Right.
With her books, I know every single one of them. I can tell you what happens in them. It's just the way that she writes the characters and the way that they all come together. She just does an amazing job with her stories. They're very memorable.
Yeah, no,
Hmm.
I love that when they
Oh,
linger with
yes.
you and stay with you for a
Mhm.
while. You know it's a good book for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
completely understand what you're talking about. Some books you enjoyed them, but they're kind of they just pass along, and other books
Exactly.
just
Right.
stick with you. They change
Hmm.
you. They make you feel things, and you connect.
Mm,
And these characters feel just
Yes,
real, like they're your friends now, your personal friends, and
absolutely.
your buddies,
right.
and
Right.
you
Hmm.
went on a
And you
journey.
talk about them like that too. You talk about them
Yes,
like they're real people.
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
they are to you.
I
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the books I've read, I remember if I liked the book or didn't like the book, but yeah, the plot gets lost very quickly for me.
Yes,
So when it lingers and you're just like, oh yeah, I know exactly what happens in this book. Like, yeah, it's a special book.
absolutely. And all of hers are like that. So
Hmm.
she's,
Yeah.
and she's also a really good friend. I mean,
Oh
you know,
yay.
yeah, yeah. Even more so now that I've, started the writing journey. She was one of the ones that
Right.
helped me through it. So
Oh,
still
Oh,
does.
awesome.
yeah.
That's
I
so
love
nice
things
that you
like
gave
that.
guidance.
Yeah. It's that's one of the best things about becoming an author, I think for me, is because
Mm-hmm.
like you have all of these other authors who you've like loved over the last years, and you're like, so we're friends now, right? Like we're colleagues, like we can talk, like let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about
Yes.
books. And they're usually
Hmm.
just the nicest people, and they're so excited to
Right.
hear that you love their books and that you're writing too.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I was on before I started writing, I was on 14 different ARC teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I tried to stay on them, but it was just too much.
It's
So,
a lot. Yeah.
I backed out of most of them, but, even those authors, I'm still friends with, and,
Mm-hmm.
it's a great community.
Hmm. Hmm.
Authors are so encouraging and just so generous and open, I feel like, with what they know and what they figured out. They're so willing to share. That's why we love doing this show, because we love talking about writing processes so that other people can kind of figure out different things that work for them,
Yes.
by displaying like the different stuff that our guests use to write their books. But I feel like in a lot of industries, like it's very like they're very like keep it close to themselves. So like whatever works for them, they don't like to share.
I'm
Whereas
a
authors are
nurse.
like, oh my god, I will tell you all my tips and tricks and everything.
Yes.
And I really love that about the community of how open, generous, and encouraging it is.
My day job, I'm a nurse, and
Yeah.
we
Oh
have a
yeah.
saying that nurses eat their young, and that's because
Oh.
we are not notoriously known for being nice to new
Mm-hmm.
nurses. So I
Gotcha.
totally get that.
Yeah.
It was a completely different experience in the writing world
Yeah.
than it was when
Yes.
I first became a nurse. Nobody wants to tell you the
Yeah.
secrets.
Right. I feel like with nursing, that's probably like one of those, they have that attitude like sink or swim. This is the time where either you'll thrive or you'll crash and burn. But
Yes.
like, you got to figure it out. Which, yeah, unfortunate for the new nurses that are just like, but how do I deal with all the patients I have and all of that stuff? Yeah. Oh my
Hmm.
gosh. Right.
Yeah.
Like I said,
It's
I just love that about the writing community.
yeah, it's the polar opposite in the writing world. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
is.
Which
You
is
have a
so nice.
few that
Yeah.
are, yeah, you have a few that are not, you know, quite as
Mm.
open, but I
Right,
think pretty much
right.
everybody that I've come up against is, it's not a competition. There's enough readers out there for everybody.
Yes, yes,
We just,
yes.
I just want people to succeed.
Mhm.
I just want authors, to succeed and to see new authors pop up and fall in love with their writing, and because
Right.
I'm still a reader at heart.
Hmm.
I
Yes,
still
yes,
am on the search constantly for new authors.
Yes.
yeah. I love that phrase that is so prevalent in the writing community too, that like a rising tide lifts all boats. And that's kind of
Hmm.
how writers view other writers, is like, you're not competition. If we're all doing well, then we all do even better. So I'm gonna help
Hmm.
out. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I
yeah,
really love
because
that. That's
some
so good.
Absolutely.
readers read 400 books a year. Like that's, if you think about all the time and energy
Yeah.
that went into each single book, and then like, yeah, there's enough readers.
Yes.
And then I like to joke around and laugh and be like, hey, people, just buy my book, put it on your shelf, let it sit for 2 years, read it later, read it when you have time, but
Right.
just put it on
Pretty
your
bookend. Yep.
Yes.
TBR. It's not going to spoil. And heck, maybe by the
Right.
time they get around to reading it, there's going to be
Exactly.
2 or 3 more books in the series for them to read
Right.
and
Right.
enjoy. So
Yeah.
I try not to get impatient with my numbers now,
Yeah.
knowing that they'll bloom. They have the potential to bloom later as I build up
Mhm.
that back catalog, as more people discover my
Yes.
books. Um,
I'm
I kind
exactly the same. I
yes,
just
Mhm.
we're not in competition with each other the way that other industries are.
Industries are.
No.
Mhm.
I feel like
Right.
somebody
yeah.
else's fantasy book is going to turn a reader into a fantasy reader, and then they're gonna be like, "Oh, give me more fantasy books."
And then they can be like, well, my author friend
A
also writes
Yes,
100%
fantasy.
yes.
agree with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. 100% agree.
Hmm. Yeah, I actually
Okay.
had a friend that did not like fantasy at all, and she read Fourth Wing and fell in
Mm-hmm.
love, and now she's on a huge fantasy kick. And this is somebody
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
swore she was never going to read fantasy.
Right. That right.
So one
I
book
really feel
can,
like whenever people say that they don't like reading, it's like you just haven't found the right book for you.
Yes.
Is really what I feel like.
that
Because when you
that is
find that
true.
first book, that you really enjoy, it's like a magical experience. You're just like, I didn't know it could be so fun, to read and all of that stuff. I was lucky to have that experience early and young, but I wish everyone can have that experience.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes. I
with
think a lot of
reading.
us
They just have
remember
to
that
try.
book.
Hmm.
We
Oh
remember
yeah.
being a kid or a young adult and finding that book that just sang to your heart, and suddenly you're like, I need more of this. Give me more.
Yes, yes, yes. Even when it makes you cry and you're just like, wow, yeah, it was so good though.
Hmm. So, what's something you learned from the writing process? Something you discovered along the way?
It is not easy.
It is
That's what
not
I
Yes,
learned.
easy.
It
yes.
is not easy. And it's actually, but it's in a way relaxing. I mean, it's my reading was always my escape.
Yeah.
So, if reading was my escape, writing it is, I don't even know what that would be. It's more than more than my escape. It's
Mm,
this is my way of giving somebody else an escape, but it is not
yes, yes.
easy. That is, and it's long. Like there are so many things that I didn't realize went into the process
Yes.
Hmm.
before I was actually doing the process.
Right.
You've got your line editors and your regular editors, and
Mm.
God forbid you want to talk about
Formatters.
audio,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right.
Everything. And and then there's advertising. Ugh, that is the bane of my existence.
Yes,
Yes. It really
absolutely.
is. Yeah. Knowing all of what you've learned from the writing process now, what would you tell a new author just beginning this process? What like advice would you share with them?
Find your tribe.
Yeah,
That is like
absolutely.
one of my biggest sayings. You've got to have your people, the ones that are
Right.
going to cheer you on, the ones that are going to not BS you and tell you something's good when it's
Mm.
not.
Oh, yes.
But
You
also not
know,
tear you down. I feel like there's
right,
there's people
absolutely.
in your life that will absolutely just be like, this is I see your joy, let me destroy that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
sometimes
no,
that happens. Yeah.
you've just got to find that group of people that they'll text you and say, "Are you writing today? What's your word count?" You
Hmm.
know, aren't you supposed to be writing? Why are you reading? you know,
Right, right.
so you've got to have the cheerleaders, but they've got to also push you. They've got to push you to
Hmm.
make you produce
To
the
challenge you.
best that you can,
Yeah, yeah, they have to
and
challenge you a little.
absolutely. And if you don't have that, it
It's
just
so
makes
much
it that
harder.
much more
Yeah.
difficult. Yeah, it really does.
Yes.
No, I agree because like with what you said with the last question too, of like it's so hard. Like we all love writing, but I think it's like we love having written, right? Because writing is so hard in and of itself. But that feeling you get when you've done it and you're just like, oh yes, it's like it's the greatest feeling of productivity and
Mhm.
stuff.
It's 2
But
a.m. and
yeah,
you're
you
Absolutely.
dying,
really
but it was worth it.
Hmm.
right. But you really do need your support system there,
You
which is
do.
why being friends with other authors is so valuable because you don't always have support at home or with your friends. You might need to look for other authors who get it and know what you're going through and can really relate, cheer you on, and challenge you, like we were saying,
Yes,
Mhm.
in your writing.
absolutely. And you can have that accomplishment, mean that much
Mm,
more when it's what's that saying? It takes a village.
yes, yes,
It
Mhm.
does. Writing, it takes a village.
it does. Yes, yes. Especially if
Yes.
you're doing the self-publishing route, because either it's what you know, or you can learn, or what you can pay to have someone else do
Mhm.
for you. So it's a
Exactly.
very, very steep learning curve sometimes, but
Mhm.
Hmm.
very much worth it, I think. So,
Networking is so important. Like if you have a question, like
right.
having people that you can ask who can guide you, who can share
Yes.
their experiences with you, what worked for them, what didn't.
Yes.
Um,
Hmm.
and then, yeah, you want to find people who understand the nature of your work. I had a good friend who wrote humorous sci-fi romance, and one of
Hmm.
her arc readers like didn't like that it was funny. He was like, "No, like sci-fi should be serious, serious business," and she's just like, "No, I'm
Hmm.
going to make poop jokes all the time." And I love funny books. They're like make me
Hmm.
laugh. It's great. I think it's such a hard skill to write humor into books, and
It
she does
is
it so
so
well.
hard. Yes.
So you can keep that arc reader, but like maybe don't
Mm.
take all the advice from that arc reader if they don't quite understand
Right.
what you're going for. And like you
Yes.
Your
said,
goals.
people
Hmm.
who will make you feel amazing. They'll sing your praises. They'll say this is the best book ever written. You know it's not the best book ever written. And they'll make you feel great.
Right.
But you don't want to have only people like that on your team. You want people who
Right.
are actually going to be like, so there's some issues. And you want that because you want those issues solved before you throw this book out into the world for like the
Hmm.
public to
Yeah.
consume and rip you apart on.
Yeah. I mean, I have
Yes.
two friends that are like that. That's it's everything
Hmm.
is oh, that was so good, but that's all the feedback that I get
Right.
from
Yes,
them.
Right.
yes.
And I just added somebody to my beta reading team, and I said, "Listen, I need you to tell me if something doesn't work."
Yes.
Mhm,
I
Yes.
said, "If something doesn't sound right, if I'm missing something, if it just fell
Mm.
flat,
Hmm.
mhm,
I need you to tell me." I said, "Trust me when I say that I will not be offended by that.
Right.
In fact, I might fight you on it and say, yeah, it is. It's fine. But
mhm,
push me back." I said,
Mm-hmm.
don't just, if you think that something is horribly wrong with the
Right.
plot,
mhm.
make me see what you're seeing, because
Yeah.
I get in that zone and sometimes I can be a little stubborn
Right. Right.
and not want to change what I've written. And then, and my best friend will do it. She will say, "No, that is no good. You've got to stop. Go back, reread,
Hmm.
try this, try that." And eventually I will see, okay, she's right.
Right.
That, let me go back and rewrite that. but I
Mhm.
Yeah.
need that feedback. I don't want the, oh my gosh, this book was so good feedback. I
Yes.
want the,
Right.
this is what you need in this book to make it better.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think there's a time and place for both, right? We still need to know what we're doing well, so we keep
Yes.
doing it or we don't remove it from
Mhm.
the story in our effort to fix something else. But absolutely
Mhm.
challenge authors if you're a beta
Yes.
reader or a sensitivity reader or anything like that. You absolutely should be saying, like, this is not as
Mhm.
strong as it could be, though. Yeah, yeah.
And then as an author, I think that we need to throw our egos in the garbage can and be
Mm,
teachable. It's so
yes,
easy to be like, no, this is my baby. How dare you call it ugly? Like, we want
Yes.
it. It's a
right.
bitter pill to swallow to learn that we aren't the best writers ever and that we have things to learn and we have things to fix. Sometimes that those defenses pop up and,
Yes,
no,
yes.
you've got to lower those. You've got to be teachable. You've got to have a growth mindset or you're not going to grow. You're not going to get better.
Right. Yes.
Exactly. And who wants
Stories
I
to,
love
probably
that.
flop.
yeah, who wants to
Right.
read the same, the same errors in a book, or the same,
Right.
you
Right.
know, so, growth is a huge thing. And, as you're
Yes.
writing, each book gets better and better and better. You're never going to be the best, but,
Mm.
just seeing the progression. And I've had people say to me, from your first book to your seventh book, you have grown hugely as an
Mm-hmm.
author. They're like, your everything is much smoother, and it's, but if you don't grow, then why are you still doing this?
Hmm.
Right. Right. No, I think it's so important. Like things like joining writing groups, being friends with other authors, having an art team, having beta readers, having editors. All of that is so because we need feedback to improve. We can't just
Absolutely.
work in a vacuum. You need that feedback of what you need to work on more, what you need to keep doing, things like that. It's so important to know as an author. And I love that whole idea of like growth mindset, being teachable. Like I think all adults should be teachable and have that kind of growth mindset
That would be
in
great if
general.
they would.
That would be wonderful if the world just operated that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, no. I can definitely understand where the opposite drive comes from. That whole idea of we have to be perfect, being a perfectionist. But yes, like recognizing that, like, hey, I'm not the most prolific writer in the world, so I should be teachable is like very valuable. Mm-hmm.
It is. It's absolutely, you need to be able to
Right.
shift. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
just stay in, you can't just stay in your lane. Sometimes you have to veer out of it a little bit. Um,
Right.
but you have to be flexible enough.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Take risks.
100% agree. Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Um.
I think
How do you?
especially
Oh,
sorry. I think
no, you're
especially
good.
being an indie author, you're going to take more risks.
Mm-hmm.
Where publishing
Yes,
companies they might
you
want a
really
very
do.
particular book. I think that indie authors are allowed to explore and do our own thing. And, you know, scarily enough, we're the one in charge of everything.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, but take the risk. Do it. Tell the story that you're
Yeah.
But
meant to
we should be. I mean,
tell. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, somebody asked me one
I
time,
think.
would you go with a publisher? And I said, I don't think so. They take
Right.
too much away from your creativity. I mean, not that I would, you know, I, I say that now, but if I was ever
Mm-hmm.
approached by one, I would probably be like,
Right.
yes,
Right.
please, here, take my book. Um,
Take my book, go
Yeah.
to
but
market. Yeah,
right,
yeah, it's
yeah,
Yeah.
like
go run with
Right.
it, make
you're
me
like,
some more money.
yes.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think that being able to take those risks has really benefited the readers a lot, though, because it's like traditional publishing will play it safe, will go with the trends, will do certain things to kind of hedge their bets, right? Because they want to make money, they don't want to lose money. So it's the indie publishers, the self publishers, I think that are really changing the reading landscape for the better because they are the ones that are being like, hey, no one's telling me I can't do this, so I'm going to do this. And readers are discovering new things now because of that.
And thank goodness there's always something new out there. Otherwise, life would
Yeah,
be
yeah,
boring.
Yes.
right. So, how do you make time for writing in your busy schedule?
I get up early in the morning.
Oh no,
When I'm
that's never
really,
the
yeah,
answer we
when
want
I'm
to hear.
really, I'm sorry, but I work basically a 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Hmm.
Um, so when I'm really in the mix of it, when I'm really pushing to get it done, I'm up at 4 in the morning and I'll write from 4 to 7. When I'm just kind of getting into it and I'm
Hmm.
not quite at that part yet where I'm going to be pushing out 3,000 4,000 words a day, then I'm up at 5 and I'll write from
Right,
5 to
right.
7. And then I do weekends. I try not to do a whole lot of writing in the evening unless again I'm up against my own deadline. Because the
Right.
evenings, that's my time. I don't have much my time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I try to balance it a little bit. I will write like crazy on the weekends unless we have something planned, but
Hmm.
the evenings are mine. That's when I get to do my
Yeah.
reading or whatever
Right.
else.
Just
You
charging yourself up again. Yeah, no,
yes,
that's so
yeah,
important. Hmm.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
no, the work-life balance applies to everything, including writing. Absolutely.
There
Yeah.
is none, and you're going to be really tired. So. Sorry, I
Yeah,
laugh. I'm like, I don't think work-life balance works anymore. Like, I don't think that's a real thing.
I know. Well, maybe not in late-stage capitalism. But I think that it is important that we are always recharging ourselves, recharging our creativity as well. Like getting that time to read is going to help fuel your imagination.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
One,
So,
I find that
Mhm.
if you try to push,
Yeah.
you may not. That's when you might get writer's block.
mm,
And I just,
Yes, you get
knock on
burnout
wood,
and
I haven't
yeah.
had that yet. And
Probably because you're being
that's
very
why
intentional
it's,
about rest. Yeah.
mhm.
yeah. I mean, you have to. You absolutely you have to give
Hmm.
your brain some time to generate new ideas. And if you're
Yes.
just constantly pushing,
It starts fighting
and
you.
in my
Hmm.
exactly. And my day job is, is stressful as it is. So,
Yes. Yes.
when it comes to writing, I don't want to stress. I don't
No,
I
we can't
made the
run on.
mistake
Yeah.
and yeah, I made the mistake of actually giving myself a deadline um with the last book that I wrote. I actually
Hmm.
put the pre-order up when I released my sixth book. And
Oh
I
yeah.
did not like that. No, I did not like that. I don't like,
No. No.
no, I'm not doing that again. I know a lot of people
No.
do,
No.
but that was way too much stress
Yeah.
and I felt it. And I literally, between the seventh book, and now I actually just started getting back into writing book two of the
Hmm.
series. I took a month off. I took a month off. I
Right. You
said,
had to recover.
that was,
Hmm.
yeah. And normally I put 3 books out a year, and I said, I'm not putting a third one out this year because that would
Yeah.
be pushing it too much. It's just, between, I have multiple signings this year. I'm
Hmm.
turning 50 next month, and, we're doing
Oh, happy
a
birthday.
trip for that. I said,
Yeah.
thank you. I said, I'm not going to stress. I said, I'm not going to stress
No.
over it.
No.
They'll get the book in January instead of
Yes.
Yes,
November.
the book will come when it comes. Yeah. No. No. Totally. It makes sense because um, yeah, if you're gonna need the time to recover, like what is the point of pushing yourself so hard in the first place, right? Because it's much better to work at a steady
Yes.
pace and
Mhm.
not burn yourself out. Hmm.
Yes. You end up like going slower than you would have just going naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just taking a break,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
before the burnout. Oh goodness, right.
Hmm.
My natural deadline right now is Sinful Signings in September.
Hmm.
Just trying to have that newest book out so that I can take it to Sinful Signings because I really want to show up with a new book. But
Yeah.
oh goodness, if I haven't thought about sinful signings every single day, because I'm like typing like,
Right,
God, like there's only so many weeks left before that event.
right.
But you can't kill yourself on it. That's just going to be
Mm-hmm.
counterproductive. So just do your best,
Nope.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So do you
Yeah.
have
Yes.
a
And,
um yeah,
you guys will have to hug Desi for me because I won't be there
yes.
this year.
Oh, okay.
I said, you'll have to
Oh,
hug Desi for me.
She's so
yeah.
sweet. Hug her twice.
Yeah.
All right. So do you have a favorite part of writing?
Finishing is my favorite part
Yes.
of
Yes.
writing. Um,
The end, all done.
when you get to that yeah, that the end, when you get to that plot twist and everything that you've
Mm,
been working towards to
that
get
payoff.
to that
Yes.
finally comes together. Yep, that is my favorite part.
That is the best part. Yes, writing the ending, I feel
Mm.
like. Do you have a least favorite
Hmm.
part of writing?
Definitely.
Oh, I was just gonna say, did you have a least favorite
Oh,
part of writing?
yeah, I think, honestly, I yes, I think, starting a new book. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's my least just trying to figure out exactly how you're going to start it, and
Right, and not knowing your
that
characters
always
as
seems to
well.
take, yeah, that seems to take like forever. It just,
Yeah.
sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's not, but
Yeah.
just starting that book is my least favorite part. Once
I
I'm in
don't
there, I'm
blame you.
good, but
Yeah.
getting it
Mhm.
started, that's
Right. Right.
The
That
little
is
blinking
hard.
cursor on a blank page, and you write the first sentence,
Yes.
you're like, oh no, no, no. Write the first sentence. No. Just write the
Right.
first
Right.
paragraph, like,
yeah.
it's
How
it's
many
raw
times do
and
you
it's
rewrite
ugly
that first
and you don't
sentence?
know where you're going. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
All right.
What would
Um,
you say influences your writing? Sorry. What would you say influences your writing?
What influences my writing? Wow. I would say I honestly don't know. I guess trying to, trying to find something fresh,
Mm,
and reading other books, um, is a way that I'm influenced.
yeah.
I Yeah, I don't know on that one. Um, my family is a big
mhm.
Yeah.
influence. I'm lucky enough that they are very supportive, and
Yes. Yeah.
I only one of my sisters has read my books, but they've all bought them. Just the other
Oh,
two
that's
haven't
so
read them yet.
great.
The one says
Yeah.
she's waiting
Yeah.
for, yeah, but family's a big influence for me. Just being able to make them proud.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's
That's
so sweet.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm sure they are so proud because, like I said, writing one book is an accomplishment. You wrote seven, so
Mhm.
that's amazing. Yeah, you should be very, very proud of
Do you ever deal with writer's block, and how do you overcome it, if so?
I just did. That was my month off.
Oh,
you. Yes.
okay.
That wasn't really necessarily a writer's block. It was more of just a writer's break. Um,
Yes. Yes.
I haven't yet come across like a true writer's block. Again, knock on wood. I don't have any wood around me.
Hmm.
Um, but I think for me, just having that person to talk it out with is
Yes.
probably what would be most helpful to, get over that. Sometimes you just have to walk away. Um,
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to walk away and give it time, because these characters do talk to you, you know,
Hmm.
and sometimes they scream at you, and sometimes they're really quiet, but they will eventually come back around. So I just, that's why the idea of a deadline isn't the greatest for me. I think that puts a lot
Right.
of pressure on you, a lot of stress. And,
Yes. Yeah.
I might set my deadline once we're a certain part through the book, but, to have it
Right.
from the
Right.
beginning, I think just adds a lot of stress that I don't need. And anything that I can do to take away that stress means hopefully I won't run into writer's block.
Right. I think it's important to know about yourself because some people are really motivated by deadlines, and then other people are like, "Oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. I can't make this deadline. How am I ever going to do it?" But like knowing that about yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of do hacks
Yes.
to kind of trick yourself into making progress, right?
Yes.
But we have to know that about ourselves first and be like, okay, I'm not
Yep.
motivated by deadlines. I'm only stressed out by them, so I'm not going to do them. Like that's huge to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big difference between like your internal deadline and an
Yes.
actual
Yes.
deadline.
Yes.
I may
Right.
want to have this book done by November, but
Right.
or October, but
Yeah.
if I want to get it to
Self
my
deadline.
editor, you know, exactly.
Mhm.
That's a
Yes.
self deadline. It's a lot different and a lot less stressful.
Yes.
Well,
Yes. Yes.
actually, I guess it's not. I put a lot of stress on myself to hit that deadline, but
Mhm.
Right.
it's a
Right.
different kind of stress.
I think the difference is consequences. Like
Yes.
you
Yes.
don't want a deadline that there's going to be negative, like bad
Right. You lose
consequences.
all your pre-orders, or you
Yeah,
lose,
what about your
the
pre-orders?
ability to
What if people
Right.
leave
pre-order.
you? Yes. You
Right.
really
That's
do not want to
huge.
piss
Yeah.
off the Zahn with your pre-order.
No.
No.
Oh
No.
my
Yeah.
Lord,
Yeah, that
no. That's the mighty Zahn,
yes, they are
you
cruel
want to
overlords.
Yeah. They
hmm
are. Mhm.
unfortunately.
Yes,
But
yes, I think they're a bit poor for it. But yeah, you don't want those negative consequences. If there's
Yes.
soft deadlines, you're like, oh hey guys, it's really close, just wait a little while longer, and you keep them, you
Right.
keep them hyped. But there isn't gonna be anything bad happening to you if you are a month or two
No.
later. Yeah.
exactly. I agree with that, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So what has been your most significant writing victory so far?
Writing that seventh book.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one,
The hardest one yet.
yeah, it actually was. The main male character in that book, he was actually in my book six. Now this is a completely different series, no crossover in the series, but he was a jerk. Um, he was an absolute jerk. And
Mm.
my when I told my best friend that he was going to be book one of the next series, she said, "How are you planning on doing that? Because he's not nice." And by the time I finished writing book seven, she was like, "Okay, I love him." So I
Mhm.
think that's huge, being able to redeem somebody who's just not redeemable. I think
Yes,
that's
yes. I've had that happen to me in other book series, is particularly the Akatar series, The Court of Thorn and Roses. This latest book that came out centered around one of the sister characters. She was the new main character, and she was probably the most hated character of the entire series. Who,
Mhm.
beyond like not a villain. She was the
hmm
most hated non-villain, and I was like, this author cannot make me like this character. Like, oh, she did it. you know. But it's
I
so
know
Challenge
it's
that's
such an
accepted. Yeah.
accomplishment to take a hated character and to redeem them.
yeah. I mean that was it was a lot of fun though. I
Mhm,
mean, it was a lot of
Mhm.
fun to do it. I mean, there was a reason behind his being a jerk.
mhm.
Right. Right.
And you learned that pretty quickly, and then all was forgiven, and you fall in love with him.
Yeah. We love that.
It's like
All
for
right.
enemies to lovers with the character. Like in the real.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Between your readers and the character.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you have any writing advice that you hate? Either you think it's poorly given advice, it doesn't apply to very many people, or you just it's not for you.
Honestly, I haven't had a whole lot um of any advice that I would hate.
Mhm.
There's been advice that I've ignored.
Okay.
Sure.
Um, But it's funny because authors are all different, and I have two close author friends that I will go to
Mhm.
when I have a question about something, and one will be on the left side of the line, and then one will be on the right side of the line. So
Right.
inevitably, I'm not going to follow both of them, but
Right.
in I can't think of any one thing that's some any advice that someone has given me that I haven't or that I just hated. Everybody
Right.
has honestly done their best to
Mhm.
be encouraging, and I kind of take every bit of advice and make it my own. So they
Right.
might
Right.
they might suggest one thing and somebody might suggest another, and I might find a way to kind of bring both of those suggestions
No,
into
absolutely. Finding,
into
yeah,
play.
finding the kernels of truth in everything is really a valuable skill to have. I think most people will talk about like absolutism. So if anyone says always or never, then they're like, oh, that's not really great advice because there's never a time for never, never a time for always, kind of situation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. All right. We want to give you an opportunity to let our audience know where they can find out more about your books and yourself online. So here's the time to share your socials.
All right, so you can find me at authorcbnoy.com. I am also on Facebook and Instagram and the Clock app.
Okay. Sounds good.
What are your
All right.
handles on there? Are they
Mhm.
all the same? Or are they
I
different?
have no idea.
All
Right,
right.
right. Just look up CB Noy and
I
yeah.
know. Yeah, if you go to my website, then you'll be able to find all of the links.
All right.
Sure, what's your website?
It's authorcbnoy.com.
All right.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been wonderful having this conversation with you.
Hmm.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And thank you to everyone who's listening along at home. Remember, there is more than one way up a mountain, and our next episode airs Friday as usual. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, you can find us on social media at The Telnut Show or email us at thetelnutshow@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening.
Thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing and liking. We appreciate all the support. Julia J.K. Allen is an author, editor, and coach and can be found at hijinksrudder.com.
Kirsha Fox is an author, avid reader, gamer, and mother to four, and you can find her at kirshafox.com. Thanks and see you next time.